Look at this great big chunk of wood. If you can see the haze in here, there's all this smoke in here from me burning through this thing. I tripped the breaker. I'm still wearing my gas mask. Oh my god. I cracked the door open a little bit. I got it drawn out on there. I got to put the bandsaw blade back on. Wow.
Well, I got the blade back on the bandsaw, and was really relatively easy to go ahead and cut this out now that the pieces of wood were down to more manageable sizes. Here you can see we've got some lines drawn on, and just trying to get the dimensions right and figuring out how to get it down to a piece that could start to be worked and sanded. Here we got some sanding done, and quite literally took several hours to get it fared down and shaped the way we want. The little egg knob on the top was carved separately and then glued on. And we'll see more of that here in just a few minutes. So after a ton of sanding, I think I've got this tiller in pretty good shape. This little egg knob on the handle here, I actually carved this out separately, and I've been working on it today. At the moment it just detaches. And so I've been kind of walking around it and turning it and looking to see how's the best way that it fits on there. And I think that's about it. I had it perfect a few minutes ago. I've just been walking around the shop, looking at it, seeing how it makes sense. I'm real pleased with the tiller itself. And so anyway, I'm going to attach this by gluing it up and running either a dowel rod or maybe a piece of brass rod down through the middle of it. I'm going to drill a hole through it. And I thought about drilling it out here, and then in the end of the egg. And the more I thought about that, the more I'm afraid that I wouldn't be able to get it lined up right. So I think I'm better to just go ahead and glue it up, and then drill after that. And then we'll be able to pour some epoxy down in there and run the, it's not quite right the way I did that. I can tell it's easy to fix when you're looking at it. So, all right, well, pretty pleased with that. Because this egg-shaped knob thing was carved separately, I had glued it on to the tiller shaft, and I still need to sand down the part of it down here to make it even with the shaft. But last night I drilled a hole, a half-inch hole down through here, and that was quite nerve-wracking because I had to be really straight so that I didn't poke out on either of these sides. And then we went down, and it probably came down, better than 2 inches into the shaft. I mixed up some slightly thickened epoxy and then used a 7/16 dowel rod that was about 5 1/8 inches long, and poured the epoxy in there and then that dowel rod. So now this thing, it's on there. It's not coming off. So anyway, I'm going to sand up the rest of that. A little bit of the epoxy just kind of got spread out on the top. So I really like the grain and the coloration of it. And once we sand off this little collar here, get that smooth, I think it's going to look real good. And we'll go ahead and get it sanded real good and get some epoxy on there before we go to varnish it. You can almost hardly see this little line here where these two pieces are connected. Your fingers are absolutely the best thing for determining where there's little imperfections. Sometimes you can't see it, but you can feel it. There's a little line right there. I may add a fourth rule to boat building. I think that would be when you're in the middle of something and you want to see it get done, take your time because you pretty much got one chance to get it right. I mean, you could always come back and do it again later, but you won't. Most people never do. And as much as you want to get done, I mean, enjoy the process. I can't think of much else I'd rather be doing right now. Sailing, maybe, in the Bahamas. Yeah, that'd be good. We were going to do that. Our trip got canceled. Stupid virus. We're close. I'm going to take the 220 to it. Man, I think that's good, but you can hardly tell that's not one piece. Nobody will know but me.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.